Hello everyone and welcome to Yin Yoga. I'm Debbie Nolan with Henrico Recreation and Parks. And I'm really happy you're here today to experience a more meditative and restorative style of yoga. In Yin, you're going to want to find a room first that's quiet. You'll want to gather together your other equipment or things that will enhance your practice. Perhaps you have a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, a book about 2 inches thick or so, or a pillow, a firm pillow, or even more than one pillow if it's not firm. You can also have a yoga mat. Now, if you don't have a yoga mat, you can have a beach towel. You can also, if you have just a carpeted floor, and it's not an itchy style carpet, you can most certainly just practice on the carpet itself. But I would have a towel so that when you had your face down, it didn't make your face itch. So knowing that you're going to use those two types of props, you can have them around nearby. The other thing is just finding a place that is your place for this practice as we move forward. As I said, Yin is a more meditative style of yoga. In traditional yogas, they're more Yang. What does that mean? Yang means it's a very active type of practice. Even gentle yoga is Yang. The intention in the practice is totally different from Yin. A Yin practice, we want to find ways in the poses to be able to soften, release, and let go. Now in Yin, the body takes the lead, the mind follows. In Yang, the mind takes the lead and the body follows. So it's the total opposite. Here, our bodies will tell us when we're ready to go deeper into the pose, and you'll be able to feel it physically and feel that letting go mentally. So the mind abdicates responsibility from the point of letting go. So with that thought, we'll start practice today. And in our practice today, we're going to start from face down position for a few moments. So when you come to face down, you want to stack your arms and just put your forehead on top. So go ahead and stretch out. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see from the side. Good. And you can also put your head on a block. So I'm going to use the block today just to show you what that would look like. We put our head on the block and then just stretch your arms out. Good. So as you do that, you can put your arm in any comfortable position. If you use the block, you can just relax your elbows down. Good. So rather than having the arms out nice and straight and strong, here you're going to want to relax. So find that point where you can. Shift a little bit in your body and allow your legs to relax as well. Good. And they might flop around. That's okay. Good. Then shut your eyes and just start to find your breath. Good. As you inhale and exhale, just give yourself a moment to find the rhythm of your breath. As you find the rhythm to your breath, you'll notice that the body starts to forcibly just let go. And it really does it unconsciously. It's almost like you'll feel like you're deflating slightly, perhaps. As you inhale in and exhale out, there's a rhythm to your breath. And as we move through our practice today, just establish that rhythm and breathe the whole time. Now we go deeper into the body, past the superficial muscles that usually control our movements, and into the connective tissues around the joints. And we work towards softening those tissues somewhat so that they become more pliable to allow a better blood flow in those areas, so to improve blood flow, but also to just create release where there's contraction as well. Good. So as we breathe in and out, now take a moment and start from your toes perhaps and go to the crown of your head and look for places that need special nurturing today. Maybe it's an old injury, maybe even a current injury. Perhaps it's just twinges in the hinges, or perhaps you did a lot of yard work. Whatever the case may be, just notice where you have the most sensation in the pose and in your body proper. Again, notice when the body starts to relax. It's almost like you stepped across the doorstep and you feel the body start to release. Just as the body releases, notice the busy thoughts in your mind. Now, all of those thoughts are important things, but just not for your practice for the next few moments. So perhaps on an inhale, you collect one of those thoughts. And on the exhale, you just give your permission to yourself to let go. So the breath flows in, flows out, and with each exhale, you start to feel a little bit more softened. As we come to our practice today, let's leave outside the door things that happened in the past and things that will happen in the future, and bring our awareness to now, what we're feeling as we breathe and as we're present in our practice. Just noticing from when the muscles start to move and release to where we start to feel sensation in the pose, to the point where if we pushed any harder, we can cause pain. Now, we don't want to ever cause pain, so let us find that place in each pose where you feel the sensation and where you feel the most challenge in the pose. And that's where you're supposed to be today. Very nice. So let us slide our hands back towards our shoulders. Good, and we're going to lift up to hands and knees. So just gently help yourself up to hands and knees. And as you come to hands and knees, good, just make sure you have a block around. You may very well want that block. Now this pose that we're going to come to is a dragon pose, and I'm going to start on my side so you can see how to move into it. Slide your right knee as far forward as you can towards your hand. Come up on the toe of your back foot on the left foot. Slide your right foot under your body and then allow that knee to come down. Then slide back, move your hands back. Good. And then allow yourself to perhaps put a block under that hip so that you can ground yourself in the practice. Good. Now this is swan, and we're going to move to dragon in a moment. So in swan, we start with the arms tall. Good, and you can see the support under your hips. Now you may very well be able to put your hip on the floor. Great. Be all the way in contact with the floor. Most people are elevated right here, so using the block or using the beach towel, any of those things to help support you here in swan works very well. So start with long arms. Good, and as you're elevated here, the back leg just stretches straight back. If you have any compression in your knee of the left leg, just put something soft beneath it. Again, think of floating upward even though we're very grounded in this pose. Good, as you're breathing, after a few moments, just turn your head to the right like you're looking over your shoulder. And just pause right there. Think of having the crown of your head up more towards the ceiling than rather directed towards the side wall. It's almost as if you're trying to look at where that block may be if you're using it. And then float your head back to the front and then to the opposite side like you're looking over your shoulder. Now you're going to notice right away that your neck has differences from right to left. Honor those differences, but part of yin is having that awareness, being able to notice the differences, honor them, and yet work through them to find balance. Good, let us float our head back forward again. Good, now in swan you may find that you can bend your elbows and go down a little closer towards the mat. You may also find that you can work your shin bone a little bit further forward like mine is. Good, and then gravity as your body flows forward. Good, if you have more flexibility in your knee, walk your foot forward. Good, if you have any issues with your knees at all, keep that foot back. Now, after a few moments in swan, you may find that you can come down to your elbows. But again, let your body direct you. Let your chin come down towards your chest. Good, and even touch your chest. Good, breathing in and out. You may find you can go even lower. You might be able to stack your hands and put your forehead on top. So find that place for you. Now, in a yin practice, we hold the poses longer because we have to give the body time to start to relax into the pose. In a yin practice, also, the names of the poses are totally different from a traditional class because our intention is different. So instead of half pigeon pose, this becomes swan and reclining swan because our intention is totally different. Beautiful. Now as we flow up, you may want to anchor your left elbow and then just slide the hand of the right side behind your back. Just place the back of your hand in the middle of your back, and that's the back of your right hand. Good. You're still glancing down. You're just opening the shoulder on that side. You can also take your left hand and make it parallel to your shin bone of your right leg. So here, find steady breath. Notice the places where you're feeling the sensation. Oftentimes it's going to be in the hip. It might be in your knee. But remember, sensation is different from pain. No pain. Very nice. Let's float down that right arm. Place it at your shoulders and then press up. Good. So, if you're using the block, just shift a bit, float the block out from beneath, and then allow your bottom to come to the mat. Slide your leg forward and bring both legs forward. Good. As you bring both legs forward, good, we come into caterpillar, also known as seated forward fold. But remember, our intention's different. So just let the legs relax. Good. Here, turn the hands behind you, fingertips towards the wall behind you. Just allow your chin to float towards your chest, but have a little bit of a forward orientation, so flow forward ever so slightly. Allow your legs to relax, but before you do, slide your heels away from your body, shift your pelvis a little bit, and then just relax the legs. Very nice. Now as you're breathing in and out, notice where you feel the most sensation in your spine. So to draw that sensation out, perhaps you imagine your tailbone becoming heavier and heavier so that you can feel the opening or the stretching created by the tailbone going down starts to flow up each vertebrae in your back. Very nice. Now, oftentimes we'll be able to identify where we feel the most sensation, but we can't relax or release the more challenging sensations. So oftentimes it helps if you tighten the area where you feel the most sensation, and then on an exhale, just allow it to soften. And sometimes you can collect it and let it go that way. In yoga, sometimes we say, so to direct your breath into this area, collect it. Collective just means tighten it. And then inhale, let it float away. Let go. Good, so let us flow upright again. Good, and now we're going to come into swan on the opposite side. So as we get ready for that, I'm going to turn sideways again. So we want to come to our hands and knees again. So as we do that, good, we're going to bring our left knee forward close to our left hand. Step back with our right leg and swing that left foot in front of the knee of the right leg. Good. Now first, slide that leg back. Good. Find that place for you to be. Remember, the block is there for you, and you can turn the block higher, lower, good, or whatever you're using to help stabilize your pose. Go ahead and place it there. Let the other leg flow back, and then as you do that, start to relax into the entire pose. So relax that back leg, relax your front leg, and make sure of where you have that block seated. It should be a little further back than I initially put mine. Good, so hands out, and then just allow your elbows start to soften. Good, so in swan, we start taller. Good, and this time, let's slide the hands back for a minute. So pause right here, and this time, let's allow our right ear and shoulder to approach each other. So just let that right ear go down towards the shoulder. Don't force your head down there, just let it flow in that direction. Good, you'll notice in a moment it'll relax that way. We carry a lot of tension in our shoulders as well as in our hips. So here we're working on both areas at the same time. Good, now notice where you're clenching. Is it in the hamstring of the right leg? Let that go. Steady breath. Good. Allow your chin to flow towards your chest. Maybe you soften your elbows just a bit. And allow your ear to approach that left shoulder. Now your ear might touch. It might not. Just remember you're moving in that direction. Don't lift the shoulder towards the ear, but go ear to shoulder. Very nice. So perhaps your swan starts to relax. Maybe your elbows go a bit deeper. Remember, the benefit in the pose is exactly the same whether your straight arms are all the way down on the mat. Good. Now let your chin come back to the center. Good. And after a few moments, you may find that you can put your elbows on your block. You may also find you can go all the way down to the mat. It might be totally different from one side to the other. So find for you today where you are. Remember, these are just steps along the journey, variations and options that we can do. And then some days, one will speak to you more than others. So just find where you are today. No sharp shooting pains. Sensation, yes. Plenty of that. This is why Yin is a very mental practice. Here we want to think about stillness and just letting go, allowing yourself to feel but not be in control. So allow the body to start to relax and release, and you will feel it. Literally, when you give permission, it will happen. Remember, you can make two fists and put your forehead on top as well. Very nice. So as you continue to hold the pose, I'm just going to change my direction a bit so that you can see the next element. Good, I feel like a puppy dog turning around, but this is a swan. Good. So we're wherever we are in the pose. Good, now let's bring our body weight into your left arm. Good, and as you do that, let's take the right arm and slide it behind our back. Now still keep your shoulders facing the mat. Very nice, chin down. You can slide that hand in parallel to the knee, like you're going to touch your thumb to your knee. Good, and we just work to find that stillness in the pose. Does this side of the body feel different from the right side? And if so, what's the quality of the difference? Beautiful. Let's float that right arm down. Good, and then pressing with that hand, float the other hand to the side. Now shift a little bit to your right, remove the block, and come back down to the mat. Good, now as you do that, let's just open the legs a little wider apart. You may need to reposition on your mat. Good, and as you do that, just let the legs totally relax out. Good, so dragonfly. Good, and as we come into dragonfly, just let your elbows touch the insides of your thighs and allow your chin to flow down towards your chest. Now what feels really good here is to lengthen your head away from your shoulders and your shoulders relax down towards your hips. So if you create a little space there, then when you start to flow forward with your chin, you'll feel a strong lengthening running up and down your spine. And it's a softening, but it's a strong sensation. You'll feel those muscles in this area. So this is a very good one if sometimes you may have lower back pain. Good, so as we're here now, let's flow upright a little bit more, and then thinking about your hands proper. So an area that we neglect a lot in different physical activities is our wrists, and just as if we do the same thing with our ankles. So here we want to think about strengthening our wrists or relaxing them somewhat. So let us just turn the palms downward, or that is, turn the back of the hand downward, and turn the palm up towards your body. Now what you want to think about is this part of your wrist being all the way down. So bring your hands a little closer to your body. Good, let your shoulders flow towards each other or towards your ears. Good, start with the back of the hand down. Good, but don't force your hand all the way down. Just be right here. And as you're inhaling and exhaling, good, and just relaxing into the pose, after a few moments you'll notice that you can shift forward just a little bit and you'll be closer to the bend in your wrist. Good, so here you're strengthening and working to release all of the muscles that run across the top of the arm down into the wrist here. So all of the connective tissue as well in the wrist bones proper. Now we have a lot of bones in our hands and in our wrists. So here, releasing those areas. I know oftentimes you want to just wring your hands together and massage them, and this is a good method to release those areas as well. So as your wrists become more compliant, you can also just hinge forward more, and you'll notice the whole back of your wrists will move down. Good, so you're just opening in that area. Now generally you feel more sensation in your dominant side than you do in your non-dominant side. So that would be if you're right-handed or left-handed, depending on which side that might be for you. Very nice. So as we flow up from there, you just gently flow back up. Good, and then just place the hands down. Slip one hand, let's take our left hand and put it under our right fingers. Put the heel of your hand in the mat, and then just draw your fingers back. And pause right there. Now feel all of the muscles and the ligaments in the underside of your arm lengthening. Sometimes personal trainers will call these types of movements assisted stretching. Again, yoga is 5,000 to 7,000 years old. So all stretching that we do in the fitness community had its origins in yoga. Good, and release down. Have the other hand come down, and again, just have it in alignment with your shoulders. Slip your right hand under the fingers and just lift your hand up. Good, you can do the same movement in the air, like so. My classes always laugh because I always have to do my Diana Ross thing. Stop, and then pull my hand back. So, either way is effective, whichever way works. Now here you have a little more groundedness because remember in Yin we don't want arms or legs hanging out in space. Everything needs to be grounded. Beautiful. Let's release from that. Now we're going to move into the dragon poses that I mentioned earlier before swan. Now dragon starts in a similar way. So we're going to come back to hands and knees. Now remember, in your home practice, if you practice this after we've had our time together, work your way up to anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes in these poses. I like to do one side and then go to the other because it's not as challenging for most people if we break up what we're doing. So here we're coming to hands and knees, and dragon we think of as a lunge position. So everybody knows what a lunge is. I'll show you forefront first. Actually, I'll show you from the side and then come to the front. So in dragon pose, we start same way we did before. Then you bring your foot up right here next to your hand. Now the key to this pose is opening your knee out to the side so that your knee is at a little bit of an angle. Good, so as you're at that angle, allow the hands to be under your shoulders. Good, and the angle allows your torso to lower down inside of that leg. So as we start in the first dragon, you can be on your knee at your hip, or you can slide that leg further back. So just listen to your body. I would recommend putting something under your knee if you slide your knee back. So pick the one that works for you. Good. If your pants get bunched up under your knees, just release it. Good. Now allow that left foot to just roll to the outside edge. Good. Here you'll really feel lengthening on the inside of your thigh. All of those structures that help hold the femur bone into your pelvis. Very nice. It also creates more opening. Now you can either bring your foot back to the mat, good, or you can keep it on its side. Good, and once again, we work our way down. So you might start with bent elbows, and this is where you'll be. We might go down to the mat, and this is where you are. Good, so find the place for you today. Good, and you'll notice that when your torso comes down lower inside of that leg, you get very strong sensation. That's normal. No pain. Breathing in and breathing out. Good, so after you're here for a moment in time, and you're going to know how long that is, you may find that you can come all the way down in the pose. Walk your left arm over to the foot. Bring the foot a little closer. You can make a fist with your right hand. Bring your forehead there, or just bring your chin to your chest. So you perhaps might be in this pose for a while, and then perhaps as we move out of that pose, you let the torso come down. Good. Stretch out. Stuck on my mat here. Stretch out that left arm. Good. Bring the foot up closer to your shoulder, and then stretch out the opposite arm. Turn your head in the direction of the bent knee. Sleeping dragon. So along that little journey that we just went on, find a place for you today, whether it's alert dragon in the first position, or working down to the elbows in the dragon. Good, or perhaps you're in sleeping dragon, and the final thing you can do here, at least for today, is to float the top arm up, turn it towards it being the palm, away from your body, and just let that whole arm relax down your back. So big opening, especially in that right shoulder. So now we've moved some of the focus, some of the sensation from not just the hip on the left, but the shoulder on the right. Now, oftentimes in dragon poses, people experience significant sensation. You know, honor your body. Only stay in the pose however long that your mind can be quiet. If your mind starts going somewhere along the lines of when are we going to come out of this pose or that sort of thing, just allow yourself to take a few deep breaths, get the mind out of the complex and the situation, and just allow the body to take over. Notice if you're squeezing your seat muscles, relax them. Notice anywhere where you may be consciously squeezing up something tight. This is a wonderful pose. A little complicated to get into, but then dragons are complex creatures. So when we try to emulate them, we have to go through a little bit of process to get there. Now let's take the top arm up, float it up to the sky, and then float it down to the mat. Now slide your elbow under that knee and slide the hand under the elbow. Again, just another arm variety position that you can take. Good. Now lastly, slide your left hand forward. Roll the thumb of the right hand so that your palm comes towards the ceiling. And then slide the arm back. Good. Slide your left foot back to join the right leg. Good. And then just come to face down. Now you can put your forehead on a block or put your stacked arms. Good. Try to have a little elevation there. The block really helps us, meaning your head's up off the floor or on your forearms. So just for a moment, come into this pose and then just totally relax your arms and legs. Good. So give the moment for the body to dissipate some of that sensation you gathered. Now think about where you felt most of the sensation in that pose so that you can compare it when we move to the new side. Now, dragons are very strong creatures, so it only makes sense that the sensations that we feel would be very strong. Very, very, very nice. Now, float your hands under your shoulders. Good. Come back up to hands and knees. All right. Good. Now just press your hip gently to one side and just look at your shoulder for a moment. And then gently press the hip the other way. Look at your shoulder for a moment. Good. And then center back out. So once again, right leg comes to the front now. So slide that right foot forward. Let your foot land a little bit more gently than mine did. Good. Hand forward. Now shift your hips forward. And again, if you need some cushioning, before I even go into the pose, one easy way to do cushioning, if you have a yoga mat, is to just pull the mat back and then put your knee on that fold. Slide the foot forward again, and then just allow your hips to sink forward. So we start in dragon again. Good. Make sure your knee is at an angle away from your body. Good. And then start by rolling the foot to the outside edge. That just creates a lot of lengthening, especially in this upper thigh area. You could also send a thankful thought to the sole of your foot for how it helps you walk through life. Very nice. Now, as we work through this series, you may be in different positions from before. So soften your elbows. Let your foot come back to the mat. The knee still at an angle. Good. You may find after a few moments that you can go down to your elbows. You can make two fists and put your forehead on top. Good. So we're going from alert dragon to relaxing dragon and then to sleeping dragon. So here the dragon is relaxing. Good. Remember, you may be in alert dragon. Perfect. Remember, let the body guide you where you're to be today. Good. So perhaps you just walk your hand right underneath that thigh again. Good. Pause right there. Beautiful. Now you can keep the hand there depending on where you are, or you may find that you're ready to go down. Now you can turn your hands out to the sides as well, so you can be here and allow your body to settle a little bit more forward and downward oriented for dragon. So if you know today that you're going to be able to go a little lower in the pose, come down. Now allow your back hip to start to settle. You've got to let the hips settle before you move into a deeper version of this pose. Take the right arm, stretch it out. Good. Take the left arm, bring your foot in a little bit closer. Good. So you can hold your ankle, turn your head towards the bent knee. Good. And just pause here. This is where you can also hand underneath the bent leg, elbow supporting the leg, or you can hold the ankle. You can also just stretch the arm straight out. Good. So for right now, either stretched out arm straight or hand around the ankle. Breathing in and out. Now especially relax all of the muscles on the back of your body, particularly the seat muscles where you sit. Gluteus maximus. Find your steady breath. And then after you're here a moment, you may choose to take the right arm up and then float it down your back like a waterfall. I find when I move my hand to my back that it oftentimes relaxes the whole pose. I'm thinking that's because of the waterfalls. Remember, visualization is a big thing in yoga, as in many sports. So we imagine serenity of a waterfall and its very calming nature. Very nice. Now let's float that top arm up and then back to the front. Good. Before we go anywhere else, let's just slide that left leg back. Good. Float here. Good. Now this time, we're going to come into Sphinx pose. Now this is one of the few poses in Yin that has the same name as it does in a Yang yoga class. Elbows underneath your shoulders. You're propped up on those elbows. Good. Hands just extend out, middle finger lined up with your elbow. Good. But everything on the back of your body relaxes. The arms relax, the legs relax. You have a lot of movement in your shoulders. So discover that movement, that how you're able to move we have the shoulder girdle structure here, and it's held together by a lot of ligaments and so forth, and tendons and musculature. So we find that. Good, just let your head be down for a moment. Good, and then flow your head up. Now you're grounded in the pose. Let's look over that right shoulder. Good, imagine you can see your little toe, or perhaps you might. You always want to keep the neck healthy. You know, we run in yoga, we always work all of the different ranges of motion that the spine can go through. It helps keep it very, very healthy, and Yin in particular enhances that. So head comes back to the front, and again over that left shoulder. Very nice. And then back to the center. So in Sphinx, we have one more variation that we're going to do, and this is oftentimes called swan. So open your arms out wider. Keep your elbows down first. Bring your hands a little wider than your mat and wider apart than your shoulders. Good. Now relax everything on the back of your body and then press into the floor and lift your upper body. Now allow your shoulder blades to feel like they're floating down your back. Just like we looked over our shoulder a moment ago, let's look over our right shoulder. Remember, you can soften your elbows and only lift as high as you're comfortable with. Again, remember, sensation, yes. Pain, no. Good. Head flows back. And then to the other side. Good. Head flows back. When you're in these poses, you may notice sometimes it's like the muscles are firing rapidly. And they are, because they don't want to let go. So perhaps you soften in an area. Inhale in. Exhale down. Beautiful. And then we soften our elbows and flow all the way down. Very, very nice. Now we're going to transition to our back. So just take your time, because we're not about speed. Good, and I'm going to flow to my back. If you use the mat, the flap in your mat, just straighten that back out. Good, and then flow to your back, ever so slowly. So as you flow to your back, good, keep yourself aligned on your mat. Good. And here, just bend your knees for a moment. Bring your arms out from the shoulder like the letter T. And then let's allow our knees to go to the right side. So just shift your knees to the right, but keep your shoulder blades on the mat. Good. Now, once you're here for a moment or two, slide your knees up a little bit higher towards the elbow on that right side. And then just turn your head towards the left. So you're finishing that rotation in your spine. Now you may find that you want to slide the left leg up a little higher. Good, and you just move from the knee to the ankle and just pause right there. Especially in your lower back, do notice sensation. And exhale, release surface tension. Good, then slide your right arm up towards the sky. So now you're in the letter L, like lemonade. Let each exhale make it feel as if you're deflating. And then after your next exhale, float your arm down, float your knees together, and then just come to your back. Good, and then maybe you just shift a little bit side to side a little bit. Good, and then on your next exhale, just shift your hips a little bit to the right, and then allow the knees to go to the left. Good, remember, shoulder blades should touch. If you're elevated on your right side, perhaps you can always put your beach towel beneath there or a pillow. Good, now once you settle into place, really relax the muscles, the outside muscles in your hip. Gluteus minimus. Good, perhaps you draw the knees a little bit higher towards the elbow on the left, and then finish the rotation with your head going right. Always notice where the sensation is greater on the second side. And you might choose to lift that leg up a little higher, touch your ankle to the bottom knee. Good, and then take the left arm and slide it up to make the letter L with your arms. Now after you're here for a few moments, just allow the knees to come back together. Good, and allow the arm to flow back down. In your home practice, you'll always want to make sure that you dedicate equal amount of time to each side of the body. Good, let's slide our legs all the way out. Good, and arms up and away from your feet. Good, bend your elbows if you need to. If your elbows are elevated, no worries. Very nice. And as we pause right here for a moment, slide your left leg a little bit out, slide your right leg over and cross on top. Good, now shift your upper body and then take your right arm and just place it on your forehead. So banana, creative name. Think about the curve in the banana and feel a big stretch down the side of the body on the right. Beautiful, let's slide that arm down. Good, and then come back to the center. Then just shift the right leg to the side and add the left leg. So you start the curve of the banana. Then bring that left arm, your right arm, to your forehead. Good, so feel a big opening down the side of your body from knee to armpit. Wonderful. Let's float the arm down and float the legs back in. Good, so for the last part of our class, we come into Shavasana, or resting pose. Good, you can bend your knees, let your inner thighs touch. You can bring your feet into butterfly. Good, or you can keep your legs stretched out. So it's just whichever one speaks to you today. Good, the arms can be beside your body, palms up. Arms can be out a little further. Good, they can be overhead if you like, but pick one where you can be still for a few moments. Good. Now coming back to your breath, allow each breath to start to soften your body. As you breathe in and out, just have that sensation of becoming heavier, flowing into your mat. Now, if your mind tries to get active, focus on your breath. Good. Relax the shoulders. Just allow them to float down. Allow your whole body to release. May we be safe from inner and outer harm. May our minds be clear and questioning. May our bodies be healthy and well. May we walk the path of life in peace, joy, and contentment all of our days. Now, after your next exhale, turn to your right side. Just curl up just like you're in your bed at home, just before the clock goes off, when it's nice and quiet, and just pause right there. Then using your top hand, and try to keep your eyes shut, come back to a seated position. Good, and the legs can be out, they can be bent. Whatever works for you. Good, bring the backs of your wrists to your knees, our hands at heart center, and we'll seal today's practice. The light that shines within each of us present here today, whether present virtually or present in reality, we always come together and share that positive energy. Thank you for sharing your energy in our yoga practice today. And as we get ready to depart from each other today, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, push that red button, and be sure to follow us in all the different media and ways that you can. It's surely a treat. Recreation and Parks has much to offer. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.